Alright, so hello everyone, Nub Tactics here, and we're going to continue with the review of the G units due to the upcoming Fighters collection. Today we're going to review the major draw engines of the Stride units. That will be Hrimthurs and Omniscious Dragon, Wisdom Teller Dragon. So first we'll start with Wisdom Teller Dragon, since that is already revealed, or that's already been in play for quite some time. This unit is a pretty good card because it's free. First of all, it's free, the effect, because it's an on-hit, so it creates a ton of guard pressure in the early game. Generally, you want to guard in the late game with your perfect guards, but this card is really good at forcing early guards when your opponent otherwise wouldn't want to, because of the sheer power and bonuses that you get from your on-hit effects. When it hits, you can give one of your rear guards plus 4k, and whenever it attacks a Vanguard, if its power is 20,000 or greater, you draw a card. Now, I'm sure you can immediately start to see how much combo potential this has with Crayon Tiger if you let it hit, and it gives its power to a rear guard. The rear guard attacks, say with a boost, and it gets its power to 26,000 or so, and then you draw a card off it. Then you attack with Crayon Tiger, counterblast 1, play its effect, stand your rear guard, then your rear guard attacks again for maybe exactly 20,000, and then you draw another card. So when you push with this card, in the optimal situation, you'll be getting one card. Otherwise, it's just a net zero. And that's still not bad if you just want to stride, just to stride. Remember that in Vanguard, getting the effects off is not 100% of what's important when you're attacking. A lot of the times you want to attack for the sake of getting guard pressure. Even though this effect can be guarded just by blocking the attack, it's the fact that your opponent needs to block the attack that makes this a very strong card. And then when it does hit, the amount of value you can get from it is pretty ridiculous. You basically can net value one card at all times. If you attack once, at 20k plus, you get one card. And then if you stand it with Crayon Tiger, it's still a net plus, but oftentimes you find that dropping and drawing is a much stronger effect than just drawing one. So, in terms of value, Wisdom Teller Dragon can definitely net you pluses, almost to a pretty extreme effect. This effect becomes even more consistent for hitting 20k when you're running the Pencil Koala starter, because if you put Pencil Koala behind this card and then you hit with it, you can give a rear guard plus 8k. It makes it that much easier to get to 20k. So, is this a good card? I would say, yeah, it's pretty good. It creates guard pressure, and when it hits, it creates immense value. Alright, so moving on to the card that's being released in the G boosters, in the new Fighters collection, Omniscience Dragon Hrimthurs. In comparison to Wisdom Teller Dragon, I would say what this card has is more on the part of consistency rather than guard pressure, because its effect always is able to go off, regardless of whether the attack is blocked or not. So after this unit attacks, you may Soul Blast 1. If you do, choose one of your rear guards. You can give it plus 4,000 twice, up to 2 times. If you give it plus 4,000 power 2 times for 8,000, that unit retires at the end of turn. But regardless of how many times you give it plus 4,000, if that unit's power becomes 20,000, at the end of the effect, you may draw a card. So this card will very consistently net you plus 1, because you can choose whether or not to give it 4,000 or 8,000 after you do the attack, which means after you perform your drive check. So say you get 2 triggers, you put it on the rear guard, and the rear guard's now at 19k, you only need to boost it once. If the attack didn't hit and you have the Pencil Koala starter, then yes, this is good. You give the power only once. You get a net plus of 1 card and your rear guard doesn't retire. Say the attack hits and you have the Pencil Koala and you're planning on playing its skill anyway. Then you can go all out and give the 8,000 power for a huge stat boost, And then if you have the Crayon Tiger, you stand that rear guard for immense guard pressure on the turn that you stride into this card. The other nice thing about this card is that it's Soul Blast 1, and this is not bad. It's actually pretty good, because if you're running Great Nature right now, you're probably running the Chat Noir Cathpelug setup, because Cathpelug is probably one of the best things to happen to Great Nature in quite some time, since the GB2 came out a few months ago. With this card, you're going to be spending loads of counterblasts between the Crayon Tiger, Cathpelug, and Mana Garmer. So having an extra resource being spent is really useful. What having the Soul Blast also enables is, if you're running Shell Master as your Perfect Guard and not the classic Perfect Guard, and you have to ride him on turn 1, this immediately becomes less bad, because you can stride into this unit and then play its effect by Soul Blasting Shell Master, and then now you have your unflips enabled for if you Perfect Guard in the future. And that's really nice. That's probably one of the best things about Soul Blast mechanics, being that you can Soul Blast your combo pieces if need be. But the main benefit of this card is that it operates on a separate resource than Counterblast, which Great Nature really needs for some of its bigger plays. So in terms of how many cards I would expect to put in for these between Hrimthurs and Wisdom Teller Dragon, depending on how much card space there is, since I already said I'd probably be running one of phoenixialux, I'd probably put the split at 2 and 1, or 2 and 1 the other way around. Personally, I value Wisdom Teller Dragon as a little bit better than Hrimthurs, because let's face it, most of the cards in the current Fighters collection that's coming out are not particularly spectacular. And I would say this card is no exception. It is reasonable, but I wouldn't say it's exceptional, for sure. So I'd probably be running 2 Wisdom Teller Dragons and 1 Omniscience Dragon Hrimthurs, along with the phoenixialux for the retire effect. So that's my analysis on the draw engines. Be sure to stay tuned. I'll be doing a review on Cathpelug and why it's so godly. And I may do a review on Mana Garmer, even though we all know that Mana Garmer is ridiculously overpowered as your late game. Alright, thanks. Nub Tactics out. I'll talk to you guys later.